The AFC North is going to produce another absolute banger as the Baltimore Ravens fly up to Cleveland to play Deshaun Watson and the Browns in this Week 4 matchup. The Browns coming off of just a dominant victory against Tennessee, and Baltimore coming off a tough and kind of shocking loss to the Indianapolis Colts. That was a hard-fought, sloppy game, and sloppy by that I mean muddy, but it was a very grinded-out type game. And that's what's interesting too about these AFC North teams is maybe outside of the Bengals offense, which can be a little bit more West Coasty, if that makes sense. There's definitely a nastiness, kind of grinded out type vibe I feel to every single one of these teams. Like there's explosive plays, playmakers on both sides of the ball. But what I mean by that though, it's a smash mouth type of game where you just see these guys just absolutely destroy each other. And so
I will push back a little bit on the Bengals thing. I know this isn't a Bengals game. Actually, the most successful part of their offense this year has been their running game.
That's fair.
And they have one of the best run defenses in the NFL.
And that's the AFC North brand. So that's fair.
Yes. So total side tangent. I feel like this division was just taken and then plopped in like 1995. Like that is how they play football. So Well, there's definitely that brand. Like even as when the Ravens came over, and then you had the Ray Lewis and them dominating that Super Bowl run that they had in 2000. I think it was pretty sure it was 2000. There's just that style, that brand, I would say, of the Ravens defense. And it's one of the interesting things too is they still definitely have that brand that's there. They have lost some pieces, so I'm kind of curious. They lost pieces in the free agency. So I'm curious to kind of see how this defense kind of comes together. But they do have like Roquan Smith, Jadeveon Clowney, like guys who are leading the way of that kind of nastiness. Get after the offensive line, get after the quarterback, stop the run. And they're going up against a Browns team who has that same thing led by Myles Garrett, Zadarius Smith, and Dalvin Thompson on the defensive line, just an absolute behemoth of a three-headed monster. And then who's this Browns offense, though, led by Deshaun Watson, we started to see some of that dynamicness in that passing game, especially after they lost Nick Chubb. I still feel confident that the Browns can still run the ball. But Deshaun Watson, for the first time, in my opinion, in a Browns uniform, looked super efficient. I think he was like 27 for 33, just shy of 300 yards, had a touchdown, just looked consistent with the ball. Is going up against a weaker Titan secondary for sure. But in general, though, it's kind of what we expected from Deshaun Watson and the Browns. I know I've been talking a lot here and kind of break down a little bit, set the stage for you to come in with this awesome analysis. What do you think each team has to do to come out victorious? So one of the things that I think the Colts did really well last week against the Ravens was, granted they were playing in a slop fest, but they made Lamar Jackson have to make quick decisions. And to me, if the Browns have just as good, if not an even better pass rush than the Indianapolis Colts do, and for me, I think if they can force Lamar Jackson to have to make quick decisions, get him not necessarily like rolling out of the pocket, but get him off his platform and make off-platform throws, I think this defense has a really good shot at kind of stifling this offense, because Todd Monken has been very vocal that he wants this Ravens offense to be throwing the football. And while I do agree with that, I do think that Lamar Jackson won an MVP with his feet first and then arm second. And that to me is like when the Ravens offense is most successful, when they're running the ball through Lamar Jackson. So with that being said, if they can make Lamar Jackson make quick decisions with the football, I think that bodes best for this Browns defense. And on the flip side, the Ravens are giving up about 230 yards of passing yards a game. If the Browns can come out and take advantage of that, I do think, Marcus Williams, Kyle Hamilton, and I believe Marlon Humphrey was on the injury report this week, just listed as questionable. But if they can take advantage of those guys, maybe playing injured or just being out, I think that would be something that this offense would be able to take advantage of anyways. But going against their backups, these receivers are really good. Elijah Moore had a great game last week. So I think it's going to be a tougher matchup for the Ravens than the Browns, but I think it's really, really close.
Well, I think with Marcus Williams, and I'm checking on it now, I remember he got hurt, I believe, I'm pretty sure in week 1. But it was probably going to be out for a little while. And then Marlon Humphrey also. But that's something still to monitor. Maybe he can come back, and we'll have to see. Actually, and they looked like Marcus Williams looked like he returned to practice today, and then Marlon Humphrey. I haven't seen anything yet on Marlon Humphrey, but he did not practice today, so that's definitely going to be something to monitor. Kyle Hamilton, I will say, is a beast. He was definitely seemed like he was all over the field in that Colts game. But I think that's one of the things too. And then the one thing to add on to what you're saying about Baltimore Ravens passing the ball is when watching that Colts game, it seemed like to me, and with Odell out, not that he had a huge impact in the Week 1 Texans game overall, but Zay Flowers really is kind of the only guy to me in my mind that is a lethal threat.
Yeah.
Nelson Aguilar has had a touchdown catch, but I don't see him as somebody you have to be super concerned about. Devin Duvernay and Rashad Bateman, fine receivers. But Zay Flowers is the only guy where
he just moves different to me.
Well, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
And you're going to have Denzel Ward going up against him. And even Mark Andrews, he did miss the first week. They're kind of working him back in. I think he could still have a good game. But then on the flip side, though, the Browns' offense overall is healthy, obviously outside of Chubbs and Jack Conklin. But when it comes to the receiver position,
it's just Chubbs.
No, did I say Chubbs?
Yeah, you said Chubbs, plural.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. I'm used to Georgia when he was down there. Like you got the chubby girls and everything like that. You got the girly girls and the chubby girls and everything. So I'm sorry if that was Chubbs. But anyways, obviously his injury is going to be huge. But I think one of the things, though, you have Jerome Ford come in, and they did get Kareem Hunt. I think I'm not too concerned about the running game because that a lot of it, in my opinion, is based off the offensive line on the overall success. Chubb obviously brings another level. I'm not trying to debate that. But I still think you can go and get 3, 4, 5 yard average per carry behind this offensive line. And then on top of that, though, too, Deshaun Watson does start to get into form. You have a perfectly balanced offense, in my opinion, led by Amari Cooper, DPJ. Elijah Moore, I think, has been a great addition. Has a lot of just consistent value, I think, to that offense. And David Njoku as well. So just as a whole, and it's at home in Cleveland, I'm going to be leaning toward the Browns on this one. I think it's going to be a hard-fought game. It is going to be a grinded out. But if you look at it, too, the Browns should be 3-0. They blew the game in Pittsburgh, and they didn't really play that well. But that defense shut down that offense, even though you can argue that it's not a good offense. Who'd they play in Week 1? Sorry.
Cincinnati.
They honestly, in all 3 games, have shut down all the offenses. The only reason, honestly, why they lost to Pittsburgh was they gave up 2 defensive touchdowns and was like sloppy with the football. So, and I can understand arguments about Cincinnati hasn't become Cincinnati offense yet. Pittsburgh offense is questionable, especially as it seems Tennessee offense. It's not questionable about how bad that offense is. So I can understand those arguments.
Yeah.
In general, though, they've still shut them down. I think it's going to be tough for the Ravens to stop Myles Garrett, especially too as Ronnie Stanley and Tyler Linderbaum. If they end up playing or not.
Yeah. You don't stop Myles Garrett. You just get in the way.
You're just trying to slow him down.
And slow him down, hopefully.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with the Browns, too. I just think they match up really well in this matchup. They look really good last week. Who did they play again? I forget
Tennessee. It was a boring. The game kind of panned out exactly as you thought. It was a grinded out type game for the start, but then Cleveland just started to pull away. And then there's nothing, honestly, Ryan Tannehill and that offense could do. They shut down Derrick Henry. I think Derrick Henry only had 20 rushing yards. And they're a one-trick pony, unfortunately, in Tennessee.
Yeah. And so for me, like, that defense is probably going to pose a similar threat to this one. Maybe this defense is a little better. But anyways, I like the Browns. I just think they match up really well against the Ravens right now. So
I guess.
Let's go ahead and wrap this video up here. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below on who you think is going to come out ahead in this AFC North matchup. Is it going to be the Baltimore Ravens? Is it going to be the Cleveland Browns? Let us know what you think. And other than that, we will see you guys next time.